Are you ready to have pizza night at home? Well, you want to get this recipe for homemade pizza dough and my recipe for homemade pizza sauce. It's so good. Please like Sweet Savant. Please give me a thumbs up. Hit that notification bell, subscribe. Now let's get into it. We'll start by adding some active dry yeast to warm water. And we want to make sure the water is warm but not hot. If the water is too hot, it'll kill the yeast. We just want it to be about 105, 110 degrees. Just warm water from the tap. It should be warm enough so that when you stick your finger in it, you say, ah, not ouch. Our bread flour is in the bowl of our stand mixer. We're going to add some kosher salt, and that salt helps to add flavor. We don't want our bread to taste dull and flat. Our pizza dough, if you don't add salt, it just won't be nearly as good. Then we've got some granulated white sugar. You can use honey or agave nectar as a sweetener. You're not really trying to get a sweet dough. You just want to add the sugar for a couple of reasons. It helps for the yeast. It helps wake up the yeast, gives it something to eat, and it also helps for our pizza dough to brown. Here's our yeasty water. We'll pour that in, and we'll pour in a little bit of oil. You can use olive oil or vegetable oil, and the oil helps make the dough nice and pliable, helps us to stretch it out without tearing it apart. We've got our dough hook attachment on. Let's get that on the mixer and get started. Our dough is off the mixer, and I want to mention to you why I use bread flour. Bread flour has a higher gluten content, that's a higher protein content, and it gives you a chewier dough or bread than you would get from all-purpose flour. Now you can coat your pizza dough with oil, place it in a large bowl and cover it with a towel, and let it rise for an hour, and then you can divide it up into 4 sections and roll it out and make your pizzas. Or you can let your dough sit overnight in the refrigerator. You can divide your dough into 4 pieces or however many sections you want, because you can make individual pizzas with this. Let everybody roll out and top their own pizza. But I'm going to do 4. So we're going to take each section and roll it out into a little ball. And then we'll get an oiled container, and we'll just roll the dough ball around in it just to coat all sides, because you don't want the pizza dough to stick to your container. And we'll cover it and put this in the refrigerator overnight, and that will help the dough to develop its flavor. It ferments just a little bit. It's really nice. So if you have the time to let it rest overnight, give it a try and see if you like how that tastes. For our pizza sauce, we are going to start with a little bit of oil in our pan and add in 2 cloves of garlic that I smashed. And I didn't chop it fine because I really don't want bits of garlic. You can chop it if you want, but I just want the garlic to sort of perfume the sauce. So let's let that get warm for just a few seconds. We'll also squeeze in a little bit of tomato paste. We want to add that to the oil just to cook off a little of that rawness, the raw sugar in there, just for a few seconds. Now we'll add in a large can of crushed tomatoes. And we're going to season it with dried oregano, some kosher salt, and some red pepper flakes. The red pepper flakes are optional. You know, if you don't want to have any heat in your sauce, then just leave it out. We're going to let that simmer so that the dried oregano can soften and flavor that sauce. And it'll thicken just a bit. Remember, a link to the recipe will be in the description box so you can get all the details. Some people like to add a pinch of sugar to their tomato sauce. Then they say that's to help take away some of the sort of sharpness of the sauce. That's optional. I'm not going to add any sugar to mine, but if you want to add a pinch of sugar, feel free. It's up to you because it's your sauce. Our sauce has simmered down. You can see the color is darkened a bit. It's a little bit thicker. We're going to fish out those big chunks of garlic because we don't need that anymore. There's one. And we're going to then add some fresh basil leaves. We'll just tear them and drop them in. That's just going to give a nice perfume to the sauce. And that's it. We're going to store this in the mason jar in the fridge until we're ready to use it. Start with a piece of parchment paper and pour a little bit of oil on there and just spread that out. Take your pizza dough and you can roll it out to the size that you want it. Add your pizza sauce and top it any way you like. Mozzarella, Parmesan. Add some salami, a little soppressata. Some prosciutto. Pop it in a hot oven. Bake it till it's nice and done. Isn't that pretty? Our pizza is ready. Just slide it off the pan. Slide the parchment paper right off. And then get your big pizza knife. I love this knife. Isn't this cool? So I'll put the link to this knife in the description box. But it's great at cutting pizzas, melons. You know, you don't want to chop through bones. It's not like a butcher knife, but it's great for pizza night. Look at that. And that is it. Pizza time. Dinner's ready. I hope you guys liked this video and this recipe. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and have a delicious day.